They say it all began on a scorching Thursday afternoon. That day, little Zina was only 8 years old when she chased a butterfly beyond her family compound. It led her past the dusty path behind the village chapel and toward the river. No one noticed she was gone until it was far too late. By the time the first cry pierced the air, all that was left behind were her tiny slippers, one lodged in the mud, the other drifting quietly along the shallow edge of Omi Ite stream. The water looked still, almost tranquil, like it was asleep, but Zina had vanished. Across the country, in the bustling city of Enugu, 28-year-old Tarela packed her life into a single worn out checkered bag and walked away from everything. She didn't glance back, not at the salon where her boss constantly disrespects her, not at the boyfriend who vanished after 4 years of promises, and certainly not at the so called friends who only came around when they needed free wigs. Enugu isn't for me. I'm never coming back. She whispered to herself, fire in her chest and dreams in her eyes. She boarded a bus heading to a quiet rural community known as Oroma Waterside. Life there was peaceful and affordable, or so she thought. No one warned her about the village's hidden truths, one tucked beneath the river's still surface. The quiet came at a cost. 2 weeks after arriving, Tarela hustled for jobs to raise funds for her dream of owning a beauty salon. She worked at a small provisions kiosk, hawked bean cakes along the road, and even took odd night gigs that she didn't like to talk about. A month later, she had finally saved enough. Well, almost. Her budget was just N5,000, not even close to what was needed to rent a shop. That was when her friend Ijoma told her about an old building by the river. No one has stepped inside that place in over 10 years, Ijoma whispered. Darella screamed in joy. God has remembered me. The very next day, she made her way to the abandoned structure. The air inside was stale, and spider webs clung to every corner. Still, her heart swelled with hope. She spent hours cleaning and scrubbing. Within a day, the place looked livable. In less than 2 weeks, she'd bought basic tools from the local market and named her salon Tarela's Touch. The villagers watched in unease. That place had remained shut for a reason. Their glances were wary, and some muttered quietly when passing her shop. Tarela ignored them. She believed in second chances. The river was peaceful, the view was breathtaking. What could go wrong? But days turned to weeks and no one came in, not a single client. Every day, Tarela sat outside the shop smiling at passers-by, hoping one would stop. None did. Am I cursed? She asked Ijoma one day. Why won't they come? I think it's the location, her friend replied hesitantly. That building. No one wants to go near it. The river. Tarela scoffed. The river offers peace. I shouldn't have told you about this place, Ijoma said. Please, leave while you still can. But Tarela was stubborn. She couldn't afford to start over. Her food budget dried up. On some days, she chewed dry seasoning cubes. On others, she soaked gari in river water and pretended it was ice cream. Villagers whispered that no business ever thrived near the Omi Ete stream. They said the water was cursed. Tarela laughed it off. That was until one stormy night. She was inside her salon, sipping warm tea, when a soft knock startled her. It was close to midnight. No one ever came that late, not even drunks. The knock came again, gentle, like fingertips tapping on wood. Heart pounding, Tarella made the sign of the cross and approached the door. When she opened it, a strange woman stood there. She was barefoot and dripping with water. Though human, something about her felt off. Without a word, the woman walked in and sat on a plastic chair. Tarella stared in confusion. Good evening. Can I help you? I'm Mora, the woman said in a quiet voice. I've come to bless you. I've heard your silent prayers. They echo beneath the river. Tarella's hands trembled. Are you here to buy wigs? When the time is right, you'll understand, Mora said with a faint smile. Just sell the wigs I give you. Keep the profit, but make sure you sell them. And just like that, Mora walked out, straight into the river. The water welcomed her like an old friend, and in seconds she vanished beneath it. The only trace she left behind was her long, wet hair. The next morning, Tarela found a black nylon bag at her doorstep. Inside were wigs, luxurious, expensive looking wigs, bone straight curly bundles, lace fronts, everything she'd ever dreamed of selling. But how would she explain this to Ijoma? Before she could decide, there was a knock at the door. This time it was a young woman holding a phone. Hi, are you the stylist here? I saw your salon on Instagram. Tarela blinked. Instagram? I don't even use social media. Before she could ask anything else, more women arrived. Then five, then 10. Some said a voice in their dream led them there. Others said they just felt compelled to come. By 9 a.m., there was a queue outside Tarela's touch. With trembling hands and an empty stomach, she began working. She braided hair, styled edges, and sewed wigs. Five women bought wigs that day at $115,000 each. By sundown, she'd made over a 900,000. That night she sat in shock. Was this a blessing or a trap? In her dream, Mora returned. Don't run, she said. Fix the shop. Each morning you'll find more wigs. Use them wisely. And so it was. Every dawn, a new black bag appeared. And slowly, Tarela's touch became famous. Not just in Oroma, but in nearby towns. Women left her shop beaming with renewed joy. One shy girl danced her way home. Another whispered, I feel unstoppable. Yet, Tarela never understood how it was all happening. Still, she embraced it. She upgraded the shop, added modern tools, and hired assistants. The same villagers who once ignored her now booked appointments. She even opened an Instagram page, and orders flowed in. When Ijoma asked about the sudden boom, Tarela lied. My uncle from the UK sent me money. But strange tales started to emerge. Ada, a single mom who'd been broke for years, wore one of Tarela's wigs to a party. The next morning, she got an international grant for her old catering business. Eve, who had been trying to conceive for 5 years, found out she was pregnant 2 days after wearing a curly closure from the shop. Then there was Nina, a shy student who bought a glowing wig, made a TikTok video, and woke up with 1 million views and a brand deal. People called Tarela a miracle stylist, but deep down, she had questions. And so did Mama Iwana. Mama Iwana, the puff puff seller near the shop, was known for her wisdom. Her late husband called her the seer of the town. She noticed things others didn't. First, it was the goats refusing to walk past the salon. Then came the dreams, shadows in the chairs, mirrors filled with water, hair that moved like serpents. One morning she approached Tarela. My child, she said softly, when blessings come from God, they grow slowly, but when they come from the river, they drown. Tarela smiled politely, but her insides churned. Lately, our dreams were dark. She heard voices, the hair sometimes moved on its own. Then came the rain again. It was another stormy night. Thunder roared, and again there was a knock. Mora appeared, drenched. Do you like what you've become? She asked. Tarela nodded slowly. Mora placed the silver box on the table. These are special wigs for those desperate for transformation. Inside, the wigs glowed. One had purple flames, another looked like fog. Tarela hesitated. I'm scared. Then return the gift, Mora warned. But the river will take more than weeks. And then she vanished. 3 days later, an influencer named Nessa, who had bought one of the glowing wigs, was found lifeless. No wounds, no signs of struggle, but her lungs were full of water. She had drowned without a pool in sight. Tarela's phone wouldn't stop ringing, some people crying, others begging for the same wig Nessa wore. That night, Tarela ran out in the rain and hurled the silver box into the stream. Take it back, she screamed. But the next morning, the box was back on her salon table. There was no escape. From the outside, she had it all: fame, fortune, clients across the nation. But inside, she was breaking. Her dreams were haunted. Her hands ached every time she styled a wig. Then, one quiet morning, Mora appeared again, this time with one final box. Inside was a single wig and a note. This is for you. Only you may wear it. Tarela placed the wig on her head, and the moment it touched her scalp, her mind tore open. She saw visions of Mora being dragged into the river. She saw her shop brought underwater, filled with ghostly customers. She looked in the mirror, and her eyes had changed. They were no longer human. They were the eyes of the deep, cold, round, and ancient. She trembled, then smiled. To be continued.